What's going on, guys? This is Cole, aka Proximitty, bringing you a brand new video today. Today I want to cover some higher level strafing tips, trying to keep your strafe fresh and make sure that you're able to strafe and compete at a high level, making sure you're not just getting destroyed because your strafe is weak and you're a really easy target for better players. So I'm going to hop right into it, and I have my friend Big Texas here, aka Dallas, helping me out. He's the forge master. That guy, you know him, he's been in a couple of my videos, so he's going to demonstrate some of these strafes as I go over them for you guys. So if you don't know what strafing is, I'm going to have Dallas here demonstrate a very basic strafe for you. Basically what you're looking at is just him just moving back and forth, and that's making him a little bit more difficult to shoot than a standstill target. But as you can see, he's very predictable. He's just left and right. Easy. You know, I can follow him. I know exactly where he's going to be. So we want to try to avoid doing something as simple as this. You know, this might work against some lower level players, but if you're trying to get that edge on some better players, you want to be the least amount predictable as possible and make it hard for them to hit you. The overall goal while strafing is making the other person miss their shots, but you don't want to be strafing so hard that you're missing your own shots. So you need to find a strafe that works for you, that has a good balance of unpredictability, and you're still able to shoot your gun properly and be able to hit your shots. I know that some people get a little carried away, and you can definitely mess yourself up. So if you're trying to throw in a little bit more of a complicated strafe, the important things that you need to do with your controller and make sure that you're able to do is, first of all, disable toggle crouch. You want to have hold the crouch on because you want to oftentimes throw in a crouch in your strafe. This makes it harder for me to hit his head because it's constantly moving up and down. So the crouch strafe is extremely beneficial. You'll see a lot of higher level players doing this, especially when they lose their shield. They start throwing on a crouch really hard because when they lose their shields, all you have to do is shoot them once in the head and they're dead. So they're going to try to make it as hard as possible for you to hit their head. So you want to have toggle crouch disabled, that way you're able to just crouch down and pop right back up. If you have toggle crouch on, you're going to lose all that fluidity while trying to do like the crouch strafe. You'll pop down, and then you have to click it back up to come back up. You'll pop down, and you'll just be really slow. It's really just not good for trying to do the crouch strafe. And also the Gandhi hop, which I'm going to cover here in a minute, you're also going to need to have toggle crouch disabled. There's an example of the Gandhi hop. You'll see his head bouncing up and down while he's in the air, which is basically just clicking, rapid firing the crouch button while you're in the air, and your head's going to be moving up and down, making you hard to hit once again. So, speaking of the jumping, I want to cover that you need to have a good controller layout that allows you to jump and keep your right thumb on the stick at the same time. So there's multiple ways to do that. You can have an elite controller or a scuff, so have paddles in the back to help you jump. You can play on bumper jumper or hell jumper, which puts your jump on left bumper. That's a very good controller layout for Halo players, so you're able to do this without having to buy anything expensive or try to learn to play claw, which is the third option. You can play claw like myself and learn how to jump and keep your right thumb on the stick at the same time. If you're somebody that believes that you don't need to do any of that and you can just move your thumb fast enough and put it back on the stick and just hit A with your thumb and then try to put it back on the stick, you're wrong. I really hate to tell you. Playing at a high level, you really can't sacrifice any time in those situations, so you really need to adjust, tough it up, just do it. Just learn how to play on a better controller setting that works for doing, you know, that sort of action where you can jump and still aim as precisely as you were before. So throwing in a jump into your strafe is a really effective thing to do, but there's a right and wrong time to use it. And the wrong time would be the moment you see somebody, because if I round this corner and I see Dallas and jump, look at what both of us just did. We were both on the easiest set path, the most predictable place in the world. I could see him. I know exactly where he's going to land. Look at this. I can follow him. He's not doing anything. He's got the most predictable strafe in the world. Jumping is great, but not when you first see somebody. I like to jump in my strafe when I already have them two-shot. If I put 3 on, I'm going to jump and put the last 2 in the air. So that is how I will jump in a strafe, and I pretty much jump all the time when I'm in a gunfight, but I always wait till they're weak. I like to finish my kills in the air. I don't like to lead by shooting at somebody in the air. Like I said, it makes you very predictable, and you become a very easy target for them. So jumping, but using it wisely, is extremely effective strategy. Also, try to get in the habit of Gandhi hopping every single time you jump. Just fast, rapid fire that crouch button and make your head bob up and down, which just makes you that much harder to kill. That's a very good thing to do. Another thing, if somebody's jumping and you're both in a intense strafe and they jump, what I like to do, this is something I've done since Halo 3 and it works really well, when they're on the decline of their jump. So they jump, they're coming down. As they're coming down, you jump up. And I do that to counter somebody's strafe, and it really messes with people because when they're in the air, they're pushing down on their stick to try to kind of fight the fact that they're moving upwards. And if you shoot up in the air the moment they're pushing down, it's going to make it very difficult for them to adjust. It's going to have them disoriented for a minute. So I highly recommend trying to get in the habit of doing that. That seems like a lot to take in, you know, trying to think about that in the heat of the moment, but it's pretty easy to get used to, honestly. Just as you see here, just as he's coming down, just shoot up yourself, and it makes it very easy for you to follow. So those are some pretty good tips with the jumping part of the strafe. Like I said before, the important thing is to make sure that you're not messing yourself up by strafing too hard. So that could be involved with a lot of these crouches. You know, crouch strafing is going to slow you down when you start moving to the left and right. So that's something to kind of get used to. You don't want to spam your crouch too fast, because if Dallas would look at me and do that example, just spam your crouch as fast as you can. His head's just kind of sitting right in the middle. It doesn't actually drastically change. So if I'm just shooting center mass, I'm just going to keep hitting him in the head no matter how fast he hits that crouch button. So, you know, the faster you hit the crouch button, it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's better. Sometimes you want to slow it down. Sometimes I'll hit him some really slow crouches, and it will really mess with people. But the important thing, like I said, is to make sure you're not messing yourself up and you can still continually hit your shots. One more thing I want to cover and make sure that I talk about is the thruster. And that's a new feature that's standard on every Spartan in Halo 5. Do not, and I really don't recommend using the thruster mid-strafe unless you're really weak and you're desperate and you're just trying to like really juke out the other player. The reason I say that is because if you're in the air, you're not able to shoot while you're thrusting, and that is time spent thrusting where it could be time spent shooting. You want to be able to kill the other person as fast as possible. Making them miss shots is important, but not at the expense of you shooting your gun. So if you're playing against some players that are pretty good, a higher level player, the thruster's really not going to mess with them unless you're like really in their face. This is the only time a thruster movement would be drastic enough for me to just really get beat by it, because at this distance, if Dallas hits a thruster, it's pretty easy for me to track. See that? I mean, I'm not trying to shoot right now, so it's a little weird for me to just kind of follow him, but it's very easy for me to track. It's not going to throw me off too much, and he's going to lose the ability to shoot. So try to avoid thrustering. I don't know if some of you guys have already developed that habit in Halo 5, but try to avoid doing that. And also, you really don't want to rely on that because you only get, I think it's every 4 seconds you get your thruster, so you know, you can't do that literally every gunfight. If you kill somebody around the corner, there's another person there, now you have to deal without the thrust. So make sure you try not to get in the habit of doing that too much. And another thing I want to recommend, if you're practicing strafing and trying to get your strafes like kind of complicated, make sure you have multiple strafes. You don't want to be too predictable. You don't want to constantly be doing the exact same strafe, because if anybody catches on that you're doing the same thing every time, mid-game, or somebody who plays with you a lot, somebody who keeps matching you and they get matchmaking, you know, they're going to have a very easy time predicting exactly what you're going to do. So you want to make sure you have a few to go to. You know, I have a couple strafes that I use. You know, I don't use the same one every single time, so that way I try to keep it, like, you know, switching it up so I don't, you know, get predictable and get easy to kill. Now, Dallas and I have been playing with each other for years. I think we've been playing each other, honestly, in Halo for like 8 years, so whenever we go against each other, we have an easy time shooting each other because we know all our strafes. It's very simple, you know. You can learn players' strafes. A lot of players are actually, a few players are defined by their strafes, so.
I'm getting SK. SK's online strafe is so fucking good. Bottom yellow, one shot.
I'm getting SK. SK's online strafe.
You know, that's the cool thing about strafing. You can keep it unique, keep it your own, and keep it effective, of course. So I hope these strafing tips helped you out a little bit. To recap and conclude, I want to make sure that I emphasize it's about making your opponent miss you. It's about making their shots harder to hit, but not at the expense of your own shots. So don't get too crazy with it, but make sure you're keeping it, you know, keeping it unique, switching it up, trying not to be predictable. That's the goal, and making sure that it doesn't mess up your own shots. I'm going to do a video in the future trying to give some tips on shooting your gun, which will also involve some strafing, but just trying to, you know, show you guys how to make sure you're, you know, shooting your gun and trying to help you guys out with that at a higher level. So make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. Subscribe, like, and comment, all that nonsense if you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to link the no-scoping tutorial video I did the other day, or the no-scoping tips. It's similar to this. I'm going to break down how you can no-scope and hopefully become more consistent doing that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in the next one. What I want to go over in this video is the whipping no-scope method, and that's going to look a lot like this. So basically, as you might have seen that and initially thought like, okay, how are you going to teach